Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about this week's video because I'm making Asian food this week. This is one of my favorite types of food, and even though this isn't an extremely low budget video, it does contain some budget friendly meals, and our overall weekly budget is still relatively low, but large enough for plenty of fresh vegetables. This week's video is full of gluten-free recipes. I've had a lot of viewers request that I do a gluten-free video, and this pretty much covers that, with the exception of a couple of the breakfast items during the week. I'm also excited to try a viral TikTok recipe that one of my viewers shared with me. As usual, I'm starting by checking out the sale ads, and this time I'm looking at my local Asian markets. A quick Google search tells me that this calabaza squash is a tropical squash and goes by many names, including West Indian pumpkin, Cuban squash, calabaza, and green pumpkin. I may have to try this next time, but today I have a different kind of squash in mind. This market is truly a vegetable lover's paradise. The variety and size of the produce department is about twice as big as the American markets. There are so many fruits and vegetables that I've never even heard of. I'm hoping to try a few new items on each visit. Just shopping here is a lot of fun for me, but it does get extremely crowded, so I've come early and this looks like the best time to shop. I was really hoping that Chinese celery would be on sale because I absolutely love celery in my stir fry. It's probably my favorite ingredient, and I've been dying to try this kind because I haven't done it yet, but this is a little too expensive. Looks like it does have a lot of leaves. I would be just chopping that all up and putting it in the stir fry, but at $2.99 that's not going to fit into the budget this week. And they do have the Chinese broccoli, which I tried last time I was here, and I really enjoyed that. We are a broccoli loving family, so it was nice to incorporate a new kind of broccoli into our weekly menu. So if you guys haven't tried that, that works really well in stir fries as well, but that's not on sale either. And I have no idea what this yu choy is. It looks very similar to the broccoli. Maybe I'll try that next time. Doesn't fit into the budget this time either. By the way, if any of you spot something in my walkthrough that you know is absolutely delicious and how to make it, if you could leave me a comment, or better yet, shoot me an email and give me detailed instructions on how to use. I was also interested in this Shanghai tip, which looked really interesting also, but I don't have a clue of where to start with that. Tofu, I was shocked that they had such a great deal, so I was only planning to get one, but at this price I can afford to get two. The amount and variety of mushrooms that they had at H Mart was just next level, and I felt like we should definitely be getting mushrooms of some sort. I'm thinking I want to do maybe a soup, and that would be perfect. I'd love to get these oyster mushrooms actually, but I don't think that they're going to fit into the budget at all. But I'm definitely coming back, and I'll be thinking of recipes that I might want to incorporate these mushrooms with. This wood ear mushroom also looks so exotic and so delicious, but I guess we'll have to skip this for now. I spotted this Thai basil, and even though it's kind of expensive in terms of our budget, I did see the eggplant, which was on sale, and I think that I might try to make a nice spicy Thai basil eggplant. It would be really delicious, and I'll use these green onions for the top of some of my dishes, and I was really shocked to see the ground broccoli on sale for such a good price because it wasn't on ad at all. They had so many different kinds of rices available and really great prices. They had a brown rice that ended up being 73 cents a pound per bag, which I thought was a really great deal. They also had this haru haru, which I was really shocked to find out that it was grown in California. And I thought California didn't grow any rice. In fact, I didn't think anybody in the United States was growing rice, but I was actually very wrong. As it turns out, California is the second largest rice grower in the United States. Rice is also grown in Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, and Texas. The type of rice grown in the Sacramento Valley includes japonica rice, which is apparently a highly prized rice among Asian cultures because of its characteristics. It is more of a short, round, grain, sticky rice, but it does look like the United States makes most of the varieties of rice, and I'm definitely going to have to explore this more and try some of these varieties that I've never tried. I see something delicious. If you haven't yet tried gochujang sauce, you're missing out. It is an absolutely delicious addition to any stir fry or any soups, anything like that. I discovered this gochujang sauce on Amazon last summer and ordered it due to the outstanding number of positive reviews. I'll link this in the description below, but just to give you an idea, this is just a Korean chili paste. It is both spicy and sweet at the same time. And I did notice that Sempio carries a gluten-free brand, so if you need that, grab that. I'm going to go ahead and go with the mild brand of this sauce, and I haven't tried this brand before, so I'm looking forward to trying it. I spent a total of $21.76 this week. I'll be adding in a couple bucks for condiments and oil. I did plan this menu for myself, so it is vegetarian. However, if you want to add a meat instead of tofu, it is very easy to simply substitute meat in when I'm using the tofu, and I'll give you a couple options for that also. All of the vegetables I purchased were on sale and can easily be substituted for whatever is on sale where you live. Almost any vegetables will work in these dishes, so shopping in an American store is fine. This doesn't look like much, but I'm very excited to try a few new recipes, and I love Asian food, so this is a real treat for me. Even though this might not be a menu that you want to try for a weekly basis, I'm hoping there's at least a few recipes in here that you definitely want to try. For the rice and oatmeal, I attributed to the budget the amount that I plan to use, and I only plan to use a pound of rice. I don't know what I was thinking. I actually had to add another pound to it because it wasn't enough rice for me during the week, so I did add that to the budget. I was thinking that I would make a recipe with the flour, but I didn't get to it, so I didn't include that in the budget. One of my viewers recently asked me to do more of the copycat style recipes, and so I thought now would be a good opportunity to do that. I had taken some footage of these overnight oats that I ate at Starbucks, and I thought they were so delicious. My brother got me a gift card back when it was my birthday, and so I really enjoyed trying a few new things. And they had this, like I said, this overnight oats. It has strawberries at the bottom. It has some coconut milk in it and some other ingredients, and it's just super, super good. So I thought it would be nice if I could maybe try to make something that tasted similar to this with the menu items that we have this week. Normally when I make my overnight oats, I add equal parts oats, yogurt, and liquid. So in this case, when I was making the breakfast portions, I added a half cup of oats and half cup of liquid. I just added a little bit of the coconut milk and then added some water to it. I also made these little snack size because they taste more like dessert to me, and I love to eat these and just put these in my fridge. And these are with 1/3 cup oats, and I usually use almond milk in these. And I use the 30-calorie vanilla almond milk, and it works out perfectly because it's plenty sweet enough. I don't have to add anything to it. It already has a vanilla flavor, and so I just add 1/3 cup vanilla almond milk to the 1/3 cup oats. But in this case, I added a little bit of water and a little bit of coconut milk because we had it. And then sometimes what I'll do is if it's too thick the next morning, I'll just take the top layer and thin it out a little bit with the almond milk, or the coconut milk in this case if you wanted to use it. And then I just top it with my berries and eat it. I'll show you a couple of pictures of some different options that I tried. The Starbucks overnight oats actually has some quinoa and some chia seeds, which helps the texture a little bit, but I thought that this flavor was really super delicious. My son tried it. He actually doesn't even like oatmeal, and he loved it. I think primarily because of how delicious the strawberry mixture was. And I went ahead and cut some fresh strawberries on the top for the picture, but I actually didn't need it. The strawberry mixture that we made in the pan is really what sets this off. I think overall, if you're going to be doing this, I don't think it needs to have the coconut milk. I think the almond milk is fine. It's less expensive and it tastes just as good. This was really delicious. It made 2.5 servings. My son ate 1.5 servings. Actually, I was going to take the rest in my lunch the next day, but my son really loved it, so that made me super happy. The one thing I will say is that I wish I wouldn't have fried the tofu in the oil. It gets just as crispy baking and you don't have all that oil. I also will say that I like the gochujang sauce that I purchased off of Amazon a little bit better than this, and my son agreed, so I think we'll be sticking to that sauce. But it was nice to try a new variety just to know what it tastes like. I hope you guys try this because it really was delicious.
Oh my gosh. It was a lot of work.
I was surprised at the amount of water that I had to keep adding to this soup to get it to the right consistency. I did add a pinch of sugar to this, and it just seemed to set off the flavor. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this soup. I did top it with the Thai basil as well as some dried cranberries and candied pecans just for a little texture. It was so delicious. I ate the entire bowl and I also ate the leftovers. So I was shocked. I thought this wasn't going to be edible, but it was really delicious. So if you wanted to recreate that, feel free to use whatever kind of squash is on sale. Next up, I'm going to be making a dish with these mung bean wide vermicelli noodles. I've never used the wide noodles before. I have used the smaller and I know they're a little bit chewy. So I'm just going to make a dish with these, and I am going to be using the broccoli stems, and I'm just going to chop those up and stir fry those. I think those will be tasty. And I'm going to dice my carrots quite small to make them crunchy. This time I'm baking my tofu at 395, and they turned out just almost as crispy as when I was frying them. So that works for me. And I'm just going to quickly flash boil these so that they're still very crispy. And I think that that's going to offset the chewy texture of the vermicelli noodle really nicely. I'll be using my basic pantry staples of soy sauce, sesame oil, chili garlic sauce, and sugar. If you want to substitute the chili garlic sauce out for some other kind of hot sauce, that's fine as well. I would have preferred to use brown sugar, but my brown sugar was really hard, so I had to use white sugar in this case. And I went ahead and cut up my tofu in small strips so that it could absorb quite a bit of the flavor. And normally I would mix this in a cup before putting it in the pan, but for some reason today I just felt like doing it this way. But if you want, it's better to do it in the cup and then taste it. Make sure it's the flavor that you want before you add in the tofu. If it's too salty, you just add more sugar. What you're looking for is the perfect balance between salty, sweet, and heat. These noodles were so unusual. I don't think I've ever had anything quite like them before. They were so chewy, and I cooked them for a really long time, but they were still very chewy. I enjoyed the texture of this dish and the flavor was spot on, but my son tried a bite and he just couldn't get over the texture. I like the balance between the crunchy and the chewy, and the broccoli stalks like this were absolutely delicious. I'll definitely be eating those again like that in my stir fry. For my last recipe of the video, I'm making eggplant stir fry with Thai basil. This time I'm using Chinese eggplant. I am very excited to try this because it is a smaller and more tender. I am going to go ahead and add a little bit of salt just to draw out any excess water in the eggplant. In retrospect, I really didn't need to do that step. I think it would have been perfect without it. So if you want to skip that step, go ahead. I'm making a large batch of the stir fry sauce and I'll keep that in the fridge, but I'll just use a small amount for the eggplant. I love this recipe and I love Chinese eggplant. I will never go back to American eggplant as long as I have an Asian market nearby. It was so tender and so much easier to cook with than the American kind of eggplant. And I have to say that it was even more delicious the next day. I did take leftovers for my lunch at the office, and the eggplant just absolutely melted in your mouth. It was so delicious. I would definitely encourage you to explore the ethnic markets. There are a lot of vegetables and varieties of greens that just aren't available in our American markets, and it's definitely fun to try something new every week. I want to apologize to you all for the length of time that it took me to get this video out. It has been a difficult couple of weeks for me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to include all of the recipes that I wanted to in this video. I think I got a little bit too excited about this type of food, and I just didn't have enough time for all of the recipes that I wanted to make. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are all doing well and safe, and I hope that I had at least a couple recipes that you'd like to try in your own kitchen. I will see you in the next video.